Welcome to Bumps in the Night, Ghosts, Ghouls, and Hauntings. We are three like-minded women coming together with an interest in the unknown. We want to share stories and discoveries with you, dear listener, so won't you join us on our journey? This is episode 15, The Most Haunted Places on Earth, Part 2. I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Brooke.
Hey, I'm Mary.
And today we're continuing our journey through the world's scariest haunted locations. So turn down the lights, listen close, and don't look behind you. Some places were never meant to be explored in the dark. All right, let's start with segment 1. What's haunting us this week? Mary, why don't you take it away?
Oh, setting up a routine is what is haunting me. Every time I feel like I've got my routine down, then there's another season, or then school starts, or then school stops, or then another thing is going on. So all of October has been haunting me. Everything in my life happens in October, apparently, and so it's been it's been hard.
I can understand that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Wonderful things, but all the things.
Brooke, how about you go next?
Sure. For me, I would say just usual work stuff. Never enough time to get anything done. Lots of people needing my attention. Every time I try to do something, there's something else on my plate.
Including us. Like me going, hey, I need your info. What are you doing? When are you free? I'm desperately in need of your attention.
No, it's mostly work stuff, but a little bit on the outside, but
Well, when you have a room full of tiny humans, it's probably pretty demanding.
Sarah, what about you? What's been haunting you lately?
So for me, this week's haunt comes in 3 very different flavors. First, my toes. My sweet, chaotic child managed to knock over a bench with him on it directly onto my feet. Or not my feet, my toes specifically. He's fine. My poor toes, however, were not. My bruise is still negotiating its final form, and I can walk, which is nice. But it definitely hurt. And then last night, in a sugar-induced craze, he jumped on said toes, and while my toe had been feeling better, it's now back to not feeling better, and I'm hobbling again. But yeah, so that was that. And then one of the other things that has been haunting me was I don't like saying haunted me because it was fun. I had my book signing. It was great. I had the honor of joining some incredible local horror writers for an event at the Wilkes-Barre Barnes and Noble. And yeah, it was fun. I got to talk to some people who were interested in checking out my books, and I got to chit chat and hang out with some local authors. It was really, really nice, and I was really honored that they invited me to join them. And then my third one is more entertaining for me. I have a favorite YouTuber I watch. Her name's Hope Scope, and she tends to do like unboxing videos and stuff, but every once in a while she'll do like going to different cool Airbnbs or things like that. So what she did a whole episode where they went to a haunted Airbnb and investigated haunted dolls.
oh no.
I would really like to do that. What do you guys think? Would you join me on that?
I don't know. Could be fun. I like an adventure.
Yeah, I was like, maybe they should just stay at Mary's
I
house.
like dolls. I don't actually find them creepy.
And things don't haunt you, so
Yeah.
maybe the haunted dolls wouldn't, do anything.
Yeah.
Or maybe that would be when you become a believer, because all these dolls show up at your house and you start having all these weird things happen. Then I was looking at the prices of these dolls online, and some of them are really stupid expensive.
That's the other thing. I will want to find a haunted ghost on my own at the thrifty shopper. I do not need to spend
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars knowing that it is guaranteed haunted. I could get hundreds of them for like $1 each.
Maybe what we do, we go to garage sales, we go to thrifty shopper, find ones that creep us out, and see what happens.
Yeah.
I have definitely seen ones that were creepy at places that we've been thrifting.
Yeah, you go to a lot of different. You have a ton of antiques in your house. I'm surprised your house isn't like crawling with
Well, once in a
ghosts.
while, There is a light that will, like lights that will come on that we did not leave on when we went to bed, but I always just think, it's something electrical. I don't
Maybe
know.
power surge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never quite, I don't know. But there, I think I told you last time, maybe we did this, that I had this little like cat light that you touch. It's like this little plastic, like cute, I don't know, I got it off
Yeah, I
Temu
think I've
that I
seen those
like.
before.
And I would be sitting and just doing whatever, like I could be doing the podcast, and I'd look over and the thing just turned on, even though the power was off. And
Oh.
you have to like really tap it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I had it in the back room for a while and it just kept turning on. And actually, to go back to the Rolling Hills thing, that had not done that before. And then Derek was like, hey, we did bring a piece of the building home. Now, mind you, we didn't steal it. It was in the gift
Oh.
shop and you could buy
Yeah.
it. So he
Yeah.
bought a little piece of it because we like to, like you
Hmm.
said, we collect like different things. I mean, I have a piece of Vlad the Impaler's castle that Derek got me. I have a piece of coal from the Titanic. Well, we both do, in a
Hmm.
necklace. I have an old steamer
Interesting.
trunk,
Yeah.
just to name some of the things off the top of my head that like are could be, pretty significant items, I feel.
So yeah, let's move on to our next segment, which is On This Date in Haunted History. So this episode is coming out on October 29th, and the On This Date in Haunted History story we have is the story of the murder of Cora Crippen. Echoes from the Cellar. So on October 29th, 1910, Dr. Hawley Harvey Crippen was executed in London for the murder of his wife Cora. This case gripped the world. Cora vanished, and Crippen claimed she'd returned to America, but police found human remains buried in the cellar of their home, minus the head. Crippen fled with his mistress disguised as a boy, boarding a ship to Canada. This was the first time wireless telegraphy was used to catch a killer mid-voyage. They say the ghost of Cora Crippen lingers in the former home at 39 Hilldrop Crescent. Visitors report cold spots, whispers from the basement, and the scent of her favorite perfume drifting through empty rooms. Some say she's still looking for the rest of her body. Womp womp.
In a dramatic twist to one of Britain's most infamous murder cases, forensic breakthroughs in 2007 challenged the century-old conviction of Dr. Harley Crippen. Michigan State University's David Foran led a team that used mitochondrial DNA from Cora Crippen's living relatives to compare with tissue found in Crippen's cellar. Their findings? The remains weren't Cora's and were, in fact, male. Further analysis disputed a key piece of trial evidence. A supposed abdominal scar, scientists found hair follicles in the tissue which couldn't exist in scarred skin, echoing Crippen's original defense. These revelations were published in the Journal of Forensic Sciences in 2010. James Patrick Crippen, the doctor's closest male relative, petitioned the British government for a posthumous pardon, but skepticism remains. Critics, including journalist David Aaronovitch, questions the reliability of the DNA methods used, citing the age and condition of the sample. Adding to the intrigue, researchers were denied access to test hair samples preserved from the crime scene. Some even suggested that Scotland Yard may have planted evidence under intense public pressure to solve the case. Despite the controversy, the UK's Criminal Cases Review Commission declined to reopen the case in 2009, leaving Crippen's conviction intact, but the mystery far from settled.
So yeah, that is our On This Date in Haunted History. If you have a cool story that you know of from this date or another date that you'd like to share with us, please send it in. So, on to our next segment, which is this episode we were focusing on most haunted places on Earth. Just because, for Halloween, I thought, we should do the really super uber scary places. So, let's have Brooke start. Go for
Yeah,
it.
sure. So I picked the Rolling Hills Asylum, which I actually had the pleasure of visiting last Easter for what was a Easter egg slash Easter egg hunt slash ghost hunting event slash dinner and raffle. So some pretty interesting stuff going on. but I was surprised to find out that it is the second most haunted location in North America, at least the website stated, and it said number 4 in the world. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I was like, okay. Um,
Yeah, who makes these ratings?
yeah,
Who's
that's
coming
the
up with it? Is it the
problem.
place? Is it somebody else? Like,
Yeah. So, like, I had heard of it, but obviously I'd heard of, like, Eastern State more than, Rolling
right.
Hills.
It's sort of like how Fainting Goat suddenly appeared, and we're like, who, where, what is this place?
Yeah, and it's like obviously any asylum, though, there is a lot of history there, a lot that has
Mhm.
happened. I believe, I do not think I mentioned this one before, but I do remember mentioning another asylum that we had been researching and the fact that it
Mhm.
started out as a farm. So same as this one, a dumping ground for the cast-offs of society. And then it, like a poorhouse turned into an asylum later on. So for those people that were
Yeah.
there, but when my husband and I went, the owner, she's a fairly new owner, they were renovating it. She's, super excited about it, but also a little protective, rightfully so. So she has a bunch of stories that she's told. There's been other people that have come through. There are, the usual fare. They see shadow people. There's a specific nurse, and there's a room that you can go into to try to talk to her. There was some eerie things that happened to us. We got a voice um, near the morgue. There's a morgue in the basement, like most of them. So we recorded
Of
that.
course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, you can lay on even the table and see what you can get there. You can kind of roam the whole grounds for the most part inside. We were doing, as I said, an Easter egg hunt, and there was a golden egg. So, the interesting story that I have about Rolling Hills was that we got back, we got our eggs, so each person collected their color. You got to collect so many, and then you put those towards the raffle baskets to see if you'd win. You had dinner, and then we went to do the ghost hunt. Well, when we went to do the ghost hunt, nobody had found the golden egg. So my husband and I are like, well, we're gonna find the golden egg. Like, we got to do that first. We have time to do the ghost hunting, whatever.
Yeah.
So we're like going room to room. We split up. It's dark. We have our flashlights. We're getting kind of like just like eerie vibes because we're in there alone. So I didn't know if they were just, mind over matter kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the really neat part was that my husband's like, all right, well, why not try to see what we can do? So he just kind of spoke to the room and he said, hey, we've come a long way. We're looking for the golden egg. Could you help us out? Kind of talking to spirits, seeing if they'll do anything. So, next thing he knows, he's walking to one of the other rooms and he hears this like tapping. And he's like, what is that? Because no one else was around him that he knew of. There was a whole group of us, but we were, from that visited that day, but we were all spread out. So he's kind of looking around and he walks into this room that he hears this tapping. And it's by this like light. And he hadn't heard anything before that. He was in a room next door. And then it like stops suddenly and he goes over to where he thought he heard it. And right underneath that like light where it was, there was like this little like basket and he found the golden egg. So I don't know if spirits intervened or what, but really cool story that we have to share. He could probably tell it a little bit better because I'm, telling his story, but um,
Well, that was like your guys' own little version of the helpful ghost. Maybe not folding laundry for you like we've heard before,
yeah,
but
that's
it's helpful.
true. That is true. So definitely a
Yeah.
neat place to visit.
Interesting.
We're gonna try to go back there as a group and check it out because within the Golden Egg we had a coupon for coming back. So hopefully we'll be able to have some more stories for the podcast in the future.
Yeah, I can't wait to go. Actually, it's funny that you picked this particular one because I'm in a writing group at our local bookstore, Spellbound Books, and our topic for this month's writing was to come up with a place to write a spooky story,
Oh,
and I chose to use Rolling Hills
nice.
because I was like, it's on my list of, New York State haunted places I want to go to, and I just like looked up a whole bunch of, facts about it, found pictures of it, and then used that for my story. I didn't finish the story yet, but maybe once I finish it, I can read it on the
That'd
podcast or
be
something. It'd be
interesting.
fun. Yeah, it was fun. But that's cool, cool
Nice.
place.
Yeah, I just figured I'd tell you all a personal story instead of more of the history. Mary, what about you?
So before I get into my topic, I just wanted to warn our listeners that the topic of suicide gets discussed. So in this particular story, that will come up. If that's something that you're struggling with and you can't listen to this episode, please turn it off. Also, if you are struggling with this and you need help, please reach out to the suicide hotline. You can call, you can text if you're not somebody who wants to talk on the phone. The number in the US is 988, and you can call at any time.
And if you don't know the number for your country, you can Google it. It's usually something that's pretty easy to come up with.
But yeah, so I wanted to put that in there first because this is a very heavy topic in this. So I looked into the Aokigahara. So I visited Mount Fuji, but I did not know about Aokigahara, which is the forest that is down on the other side of the mountain. It's a beautiful forest. It's also known as the Sea of Trees in Japan, and it has also somewhat problematically been called Suicide Forest. If anyone has been paying attention to YouTube kind of news, there was a YouTuber who went into the forest and was not so kind about what they were doing in there, and
Oh, jeez.
showed like it looked like someone hanging. I don't think it actually was, but they were kind of making fun of the whole situation, which is just
Oh, wow.
Ugh.
very
I hate when
tasteless.
people do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they rightfully got called out for it.
Good.
But yeah, yeah. So it's located at the base of Mount Fuji. It's growing on volcanic rock, and some areas can cause compasses to react to the magnetism in the volcanic rock. The ground is really hard, so this is a very interesting place. Um, had I known that it existed before I visited Mount Fuji, I probably would have gone here, but I did not at the time. So it's a very interesting forest. It's beautiful.
People say it's easy to get lost in, though.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
they say definitely like have a guide or
Yeah.
something.
Right.
You know.
Right. And when we talk about the haunted aspect, which, give or take, you may or may not believe in, but eerie are the ghosts that are known to have violent deaths and be seeking vengeance in the afterlife are known to haunt the forest, according to local folklore. And the forest and folklore have inspired movies and TV shows and novels. And a lot of times, people researching this particular forest, because people come from all over to commit suicide here, and a lot of people want to know why. Some researchers believe that it is in part because it is popular. So, because people hear about it, they go, and then that becomes the place that they want to go. Other people also believe,
Copycats. Yeah.
exactly. Other people believe it's just because it's a place of beauty. There are some other kind of folklore things that may come up and into that. Um, and also, some people who have survived suicide from that forest have noted that they chose the forest because they wanted to feel like a part of something bigger, and they knew that a lot of people had done the same thing at the same time, and they felt like those people, so they wanted to feel that connection.
That makes sense. Especially when somebody's considering suicide, usually they're feeling very alone.
Right,
So it would make sense that they would want to go where other people had been.
right, right. There are signs at the front entrance that basically remind people that life is a gift and please don't throw it away. But yeah, it makes for some haunted news because in one CNN health article, they said that there was over 100 people to commit suicide in less than 5 years in that one spot.
That's wild.
So
That's
it
a lot.
is. It's not just like, oh, 2 people have done this. This is a very large problem especially for this
Yeah.
particular forest.
Destination Truth. They had an episode. I don't know if you guys remember that show with Josh Gates.
Yeah, Derek and I have watched like all of it. That might be the other. Like, there's just been tons of shows and stuff I've heard about the forest, and like you said,
That's the
novels
one that
and
stuck out with me.
yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I'll go next. And I'm going to reiterate that if you are considering, my story also involves suicide. Unfortunately, we did not plan it that way. We all kind of just research our own thing and then come together, and it's a surprise of what everyone else has done. So I'm going to reiterate, if you are considering suicide, please reach out for help. 988 is the number in the US. If you are not in the US, Google, and hopefully it will give you the correct number. So mine is not the same place, but it is known as the Suicide Canal. That, of course, is not its official name. On the maps, it's the, and I'm going to butcher this because I don't speak Russian, so I apologize. It's the Obvodny Canal. It's a stretch of water slicing through St. Petersburg, Russia. But if you ask anyone who's lived near it long enough, they'll lower their voice and kind of look around and they'll say, don't walk there after dark. Has a very dark reputation. They say that, the water watches people and it pulls people in. So Obvodny was never meant to be haunted. It was built in the 1700s as part of Peter the Great's grand vision for a modern city, a drainage canal and nothing more. But from the very beginning, something felt very wrong. The workers noticed it first. They complained of headaches, dizziness, sudden bursts of rage. Fights broke out for no reason. Men who'd been friends for years turned on each other with shovels and picks. Some said it was the vodka, others said it was the soil, black, wet, and full of bones. One crew uncovered a slab of granite buried deep in the mud, and they said it was carved, weathered, and cold to the touch. When they called for an inspector, the slab was removed, and no one ever said where it went. But after that, people started having dreams. There's what they said. Men woke screaming, drenched in sweat, babbling about voices in the water. One man supposedly gouged out his own eyes with a spoon. Another walked straight into the canal and never came back up. And the foreman, of course, said it was nonsense. The canal was finished and the city moved on. But the canal continued to have problems. In the 1920s, the pattern changed. People began leaping from Borovsky Bridge without warning, without notes. The claim is they weren't depressed, they weren't desperate, they were just walking and then they weren't. I have a hard time believing that because not everyone notices depression. You know, there people
Yep.
can be a functional depressed person,
Yeah.
but that's what the stories are saying. So one survivor said she had felt a hand on her back. Another said she'd heard her mother's voice calling from the water. And a third claimed he saw a child standing on the surface, barefoot and smiling, just before he jumped. The police called it mass hysteria, the newspapers called it a coincidence, but the locals claimed they knew better. They started calling it the Suicide Canal, and they stopped walking near it at night. In the 1970s, a group of university students decided to test the legend. They brought cameras, tape recorders, EMF meters, whatever ghost hunting gear they could cobble together. They laughed as they set it up, drank beer, dared each other to touch the water. By morning, one of them was missing. The others were found huddled together on the bank, shivering, unable to speak. Apparently, their tapes were blank, the cameras were smashed, and one girl had claw marks down her back. They claimed they were deep, like something had tried to drag her away. And the story I found said she never spoke again. I'm not sure, take it with a grain of salt. In the decades since, the stories have only grown. Taxi driver refused to take fares along the canal after midnight. Jogger vanished mid-stride. His phone still tracking his heartbeat until it flatlined. Priest who tried to bless the water and collapsed on the spot. Very dramatic.
Sounds like a good movie plot.
I know. I don't mean to laugh because I'm not sure how. The problem is places like this, they start having urban legend type stories, and
Yeah.
the things I was reading felt a little bit more, but if anybody can find evidence to corroborate these things, by all means, let me know. I figured to just go with it, being that this is like our Halloween episode, and so some people say it's cursed. Some people say it's a thin place, like a crack between the worlds. A few people believe it's not the dead that are haunting canal, but something else that's pulling people in. Yeah, so they say like if you stand there long enough, you'll feel it too, a pressure in your chest and whisper along the base of your skull, telling you to jump. So basically, if you ever find yourself in St. Petersburg and someone suggests that you avoid the Obvodny Canal after dark, maybe listen to them. I mean, who knows? Something else could be going on at night. There could be nefarious people about. I don't know. I never think it's a good idea to go alone after dark anywhere personally. So that's the story I chose.
I always wonder about stuff like that where everybody is having major depressive episodes. Like, what are the lead levels like?
Yeah. What's in the water? Literally, what's in the water?
Or is there something in the air? Maybe there's
Is there
something going on
gas
there. Yeah, right,
release? Yeah.
exactly. Maybe there's a mold or a
Well,
fungus
what
or
about the
something that's
movie if
causing this.
the dreams that make the sleep sickness there?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
there's,
Well, and then you have to think about this is in Russia. Like
yeah,
we don't get the whole truth out of Russia. Like these stories, are these even from people in Russia? Are they coming from people outside of Russia who've heard of the place and then they're just telling the story? Or are the
Right.
people who live there just trying to scare tourists?
Well, and it's not even the people that live there. The amount of propaganda about Russia that comes into us,
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
astronomical.
All I can say is I did some Google searching and this is what I came up with.
And as someone who has
So,
Google searched for years and years and years, take it with a grain of salt at this point. We have the information we can get.
it's definitely interesting. I
right.
like the
Yeah.
story about the priest, even if it isn't real.
Yeah, and I'll always throw out that we never once proclaimed that everything in our podcast is
No.
100% true.
Well, here's the
And we are
thing.
sharing ghost stories.
I also believe that like even if like the whole story isn't true, it came from something. Like there's some truth
Right.
probably inside of the story. We just don't
There's a
know what
kernel.
it is. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our next segment.
You got mail.
We still don't have any listener submissions, so people, please write to us. I'm begging again. But in lieu of listener stories, we've been doing Reddit stories instead. Brooke, do you want to go first?
All right. So some of the stories that I have heard in the past, I'm going to go with because they're the ones to me that are the creepiest. And I'm just going to start by kind of setting the scene. So, from what I can remember of what I read,
Oh, we should update that you're not doing ghost stories from Reddit. You're doing
let's not meet stories from Reddit. Just because these are the ones that are to me the most interesting. Okay, so there's a couple. I think it was in the 70s. They are in Colorado. It's nighttime. They decide they're going to go for a little hike because the moon is full. It's beautiful out. They know the area. They're walking up in the hills. This is, again, if I'm not getting every detail right, I apologize. It's been a little while since I've seen the story. But when I get to the punchline, that's all that really matters. They're walking, and all of a sudden, they start to feel a little weird. Like, how you get that feeling where you're being watched or like something strange. They're like, well, maybe we should head back. And the man steps on something squishy. And they couldn't see what it was. So they decide to head back. And, nothing happens. But then years later, they're watching a documentary. And it's a documentary on Ted Bundy.
Ooh.
And they're asking Ted Bundy if he had ever been caught by anybody or seen by anybody. And he proceeds to tell them about this couple that was hiking near one of the places he had just killed somebody. And they almost saw him. So, same couple. They had actually stepped on one of the dead
Oh
bodies, I
no.
believe. So that was the
Oh
squishy
God.
thing.
Ew.
I always find stories like that fascinating, though, where like either somebody was in the car with a serial killer, and for some reason that person, there's a lot of them where they'll have a change of heart, and that particular person has a story because they didn't kill them. There is another one about two girls. They work in a antique store. It's their mother's antique store. Guy comes in wanting to buy a dresser. He's really insistent on the fact that he wants the girls there when he goes to move it. It's like, well, we could have our family help you, whatever. And then he wants them to go out for coffee with him. Very, very insistent. And the girls are just like, well, he's good looking, but there's just a weird vibe about him. So, they decided not to go. Guy never ends up buying the dresser. Again, Ted Bundy. So, and then I have one more. Woman, well, teenager, goes to the beach with her boyfriend and friends. Boyfriend and friends are, I don't know, swimming. She was on her own for a little bit. Guy approaches her, asks her to help him with his boat, pull it, into the water or whatever. She's like, well, I could get my boyfriend. He's going to be probably a little stronger than me to help you
Oh, I know this
out.
one.
Again, persistent, keep trying to get her to go. Doesn't want to go. And then he goes, well, you're lucky. Guess what? Ted Bundy again.
I've heard that one.
Yeah, and that's also novelized in that book
Yes.
that we read. Yep,
That was
Yeah.
a BookBump
Mhm.
book. Yep.
Bright Eyes, but she does it a little differently in the story, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, though, some of those people probably have heard, but again, I find that fascinating. I find the Let's Not Meet fascinating because it's like these people were so close to these monsters and they somehow made it out. And I like stories like that where they survive and
Mhm.
that's why it's like let's not meet, we survived, but I don't ever want to see
It
you
made me
again.
think of, I can't remember who it was. Oh gosh, it was one of the serial killers who targeted men specifically. But there was something I was reading and it was about the women who had shared an apartment building with him and like I can't remember
Oh,
his name. It's I'm blanking on that completely. But like, they would complain that his apartment smelled, but they were like, he was the nicest guy.
oh, probably
Yes, that's who it was.
Dahmer.
Yeah, they're like he was the nicest guy.
Yeah,
We like felt
yep.
so safe when he was
Why do I know
outside because
this?
you're my memory. But so they're like we felt safe outside. But like one of them was like he gave my father the creeps though. But like he was so nice, and if one of us was like having issues with a guy, he would come out and it's like oh
Isn't
gosh.
that crazy?
Yeah, so I guess they were just lucky that they were women and not men.
Yeah, yeah, with him, yeah, it's true. Yeah, sorry I
It's not
got off the
hard.
ghost topic.
Well, it's dark, it's spooky,
Kind of
it's dark, it's
educational.
spooky, it's Halloweeny. So I'm going to read a Reddit story for my Reddit story slash listener mail story. It is from r slash ask Reddit. The author is Digsy, Digsy. It's from about 14 years ago. The story is titled, As It's Nearly Halloween, How About We Share Some Creepy Stories? I'll go first. I picked this one because it kind of reminded me a little bit of my own personal experiences. But anyway, so the story goes. When I was about 13, my mom and dad invited round our previous neighbors from the block of flats we lived in until I was 5 years old. Anyway, I'd been sent to bed but could still hear everyone talking about this and that until the woman neighbor said, Hey, Digsy's mom, do you remember when Digsy used to complain that there was someone in his room? Well, there's a family that just moved into the floor above who have a 3-year-old son. He is complaining of the exact same things Digsy did. This creeped me out. I had no recollection of any of this, so the next day asked my mom. Her first reaction was, You don't remember? Then she told me all about the weird stuff that used to happen. Footsteps up and down the hall, shit going missing and stuff. She said the final thing to happen was when she was listening to a record one day and it started to slow down, like someone was holding a finger gently on the platter till it finally came to a stop. My mum said she snapped at this point and started shouting, Will you leave us the fuck alone? As soon as she said this, the record went straight back to playing normally, and we never experienced anything again. I've never experienced anything like that since, and these days I'm quite skeptical of such stories. But I believe my mum. Strangest thing is how I found out about it, from someone else 10 years later experiencing something similar. So yeah, I picked that one because it kind of reminded me of what my little spaz out I had at my mom's house when had the hauntings around the furniture that I got, and I, lost it and told it to knock it off, and I was over it basically. I probably said the F word and some other words while I was at it. And then, all right, so now let's dive into our last segment, which is our haunted news. Brooke, what do you got for us?
I found a fun one. So I don't know if either of you ever heard. Now, I think one of my last ones, I don't know if it was the last one I did, but it was another like actress. Well, I always think these are kind of fun, but I found one on Stormy Daniels.
Woo, okay.
And yeah, as most of you know, she's an adult film actress and director. Had legal dispute with Trump. But yeah, apparently she was claiming she had paranormal experiences in her one home that she lived in,
Ooh,
and it was located in the Garden District of New Orleans, which, I mean, who knows? She said it was a 200-year-old house.
I could believe it.
So possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely believe that. She said she had intense experiences there. The only thing that's a little interesting to me is that the way she describes one of the things that she sees, she says it's a very, very dark, non-human thing with tentacles,
Ooh.
which creepy. First off.
Yeah.
And said she caught it on camera. So I don't know. I'd like to see that
Yeah,
video.
if you have it on camera, show the proof. Come on.
Yeah, she said it like broke her ex's guitar, snapped it in half,
Jeez.
that it didn't like him for some reason.
Well, maybe that's why he's an ex.
Yeah. But she said she had gotten hold of like a medium, who she talked to over Zoom. Said the house has a very old. There was like an old mirror upstairs too, and it used to feel like someone was watching her. But she also kind of felt like it was a protective person, so I thought that was kind of interesting too.
Interesting.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of neat because I had never heard that, you know. So when I was researching stuff, I'm like, ooh, what experience did she have? Let's check this out. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I'd want to see the tentacle human thing, though.
No,
I
thank
mean,
you. No.
I'd like kind of want to see a video if she had it, but yeah, that sounds super creepy.
That would make me
So
a little more nervous because, like,
I
if there's
do.
one, are there
yeah,
more? Like,
yeah, exactly. And like the person or whatever, the spirit watching you from the mirror, like, is that like she said, it seemed protective, but who is it? Why, why is it there?
I've
Like,
always had issues with mirrors to begin with. Like,
yeah, I remember you saying,
they
yeah,
just
so that
creep
one's
me out.
probably,
I would not be okay with it. Like,
yeah.
and not just mirrors. I don't like, when it's night out and your lights are on and it's dark outside and your window basically becomes a mirror. But that's because I've had my own experience with that, and that was terrifying. And
Oh, yeah.
I get the chills just thinking about it because I can still see the person's head there and no one was
Oh,
there. And
yeah, no.
I managed to convince myself it was just, matrixing, and maybe I'd been watching too many scary things and I finished what I was doing and ran.
Oh,
It's like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Daniels also hired two mediums to come to the house as well, and they said there was multiple entities in the house, like, so more than just the two that she was
I mean, a
describing.
place that
If,
old, I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, true.
Like, I don't know.
And just think about it. It just proves that spirits can do more because we were already talking about how why would it only be spirits of people? Why would it
Yeah,
only be
Right.
spirits of old people?
Well, I
It
mean,
could be
yeah.
something with
I've heard of
tentacles.
I've
And
heard of
We
cat
don't hang
ghosts
out at
and
the
dog
bottom of the sea.
ghosts. Like, I've heard of cat ghosts, dog ghosts, horse ghosts. I've heard all that. So why
yeah.
not like a
Right.
octopus or
Why
a
So
not something with tentacles?
the last one
spider?
she described is also a little creepy. It says it was a woman. Well, the medium said it was a woman who lost a child and blamed herself. And if Stormy stood in one section of the kitchen, she would cry.
Oh.
And yeah, like a couple of people said they felt like she was cutting herself,
Oh.
apparently. Yeah, that's creepy.
Jeez.
So the woman, not
Not
Daniels,
Daniels.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
the woman that lost the child.
Oh boy.
So I don't know. She said a couple different people said that. So yeah, I don't think I'd want to live in that
No,
house.
thank you.
But yeah, like you said, with that much history, it's, hard to say that there wouldn't be some, at least energy trapped,
Yeah.
whatever it is. But
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I like doing ghost hunting. I like trying to find them. I don't want to live in a haunted house. Been there, done that. You can't be guaranteed
yeah.
that the ghost is going to be friendly, and I don't need to experience something trying to terrify me all the time like I've already lived
No.
through. Like, no, thank you. I'm good. I'll pass.
Yeah, no.
Mary, did you have haunted news?
I do have haunted news. It's
Do you?
barely haunted news,
Hey,
but it's haunted
that
news.
counts.
And
Go for it.
it was updated like an hour ago.
Oh, that's
Nice.
super
I found it.
update.
I know it's very news.
Yeah, it is.
Very new news. I got this from the Rome Sentinel, which is Rome, New York, and they have an article that says, "Want to see a ghost? Your odds are highest in New York State,"
Oh
which I
yeah.
thought was like perfect. And they basically talk about how a new report came out. It was a study by casino.ca, so it sounds like Canadian. And they released a list of hauntings by state after analyzing Ghosts of America, one of the oldest online ghost reporting websites, along with various social media posts and online forums. And they said New York had enough hauntings to put it ahead of Texas, Louisiana, and California.
Wow.
The only other states with 70 sightings or more, for whatever reason, Georgia scored the lowest with only 6 sightings per 10,000 people.
Okay.
And maybe the scariest entities are already walking among the living. Who knows for sure? I love it.
That's great.
So yeah, love it. Will Phillips wrote that one. That's great.
Because isn't New York City one of the oldest?
We have a lot of forts. We've got a lot of cemeteries, very old cemeteries. We had industrial stuff. We've had wars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I can believe it.
it makes sense.
Although I'm kind of surprised Florida wasn't up there because they've got St. Augustine, which they're like, you can't turn around without there
Yeah,
being
the
ghosts.
oldest city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting though.
Apparently, Fort Stanwix in Rome is repeatedly cited as one of the most active locations in the region.
And now I kind of want to do more ghost tours around New York State and see if, maybe there's something to that. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
interesting.
that's cool.
So, my haunted news for this week, it's superstition meets superstardom. Los Angeles Dodgers shortstop Mookie Betts has once again refused to stay at Milwaukee's infamous Pfister Hotel. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. It's Pfister. So if I'm pronouncing it wrong, please tell me. It's a 132-year-old luxury landmark with a reputation for ghostly mischief. Instead of bunking with the team, Betts opts for an Airbnb far from the flickering lights and phantom footsteps that have unnerved players for years. Joining him in ghost dodging solidarity, outfielder Teoscar Hernandez. Teoscar, I'm terrible at names. I'm sorry. While Hernandez insists he's not a believer, his wife is, and she's not taking any chances. I've stayed there before, he said. I've never seen anything or heard anything, but my wife said she doesn't want to stay there, so we have to find another hotel. And she's not alone. Hernandez says other players and their partners have reported strange happenings during this trip. Lights turning off and on, unexplained noises, footsteps in empty hallways. I'm not the guy who's going to say, oh yeah, I experienced that, because I haven't, he added, and I don't think I'm going to. But Mookie Betts? He's firm. I just don't want to find out myself. The Pfister's haunted reputation isn't new. Phillies first baseman Bryce Harper once claimed his clothes would mysteriously move across the room. TVs and radios have reportedly switched on by themselves. Yankees slugger Giancarlo Stanton described the hotel's decor, headshot portraits and heavy curtains, as freaky, comparing it to Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. The less time I'm there, the better, he said. Of course, not everyone's convinced. A former MLB executive chalks it all up to pranks. He says the hotel's older rooms leave a quarter-inch gap under the doors, just enough for mischievous teammates to slide TV remotes underneath and mess with each other's screens in the dead of night. I've seen it done a ton over the years, he said. That's where the whole haunted thing started. So is the Pfister Hotel truly haunted, or just haunted by baseball's best pranksters? Either way, Betts isn't sticking around to find out. And honestly, can you blame him? I mean, I would go stay there, but I like staying at haunted places. So I suppose if you don't like staying at haunted places, you wouldn't want to. That's a wrap on this episode of Bumps in the Night, Ghosts, Ghouls, and Hauntings. Thanks for spending time with us in the shadows, whether you're here for the scares, the stories, or just the sound of our charming voices echoing through the void. If you've got a haunted tale of your own, a bizarre headline you want us to dig into, or a location you think deserves the spotlight, send it our way. You'll find all our links and contact info in the show notes. And don't forget to follow us on social media for behind-the-scenes updates, sneak peeks, and all things spooky. We're on Instagram at Beyond Upstate Paranormal, and on Facebook, just search Beyond Upstate Modern Paranormal Society. Looking to rock some haunted merch? Our Printify shop link is also in the show notes, so you can wear your ghostly pride wherever you roam. Until next time, keep your lights on, your EMF readers charged, and remember, just because you can't see it, doesn't mean it's not there. Stay spooky, friends.